this is the Work Your Money podcast with host Michelle Wong. And today we're right here in Manhattan in New York City, West 35th Street, with a great guest, Stephanie Badillo. Am I saying it correct?
Yes, Badillo.
Badillo. And we're here at BFI headquarters.
Yes, this is our New York showroom.
Amazing. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a real estate developer. I've been in the business for 30 years. I started as an interior designer, and then I worked my way up through into being a developer and having my own interior design and construction company. So I did also design build. For many years, I cut my teeth basically working for other developers as well. So I've also partnered with developers, working on their projects, helping them with luxury residential condominiums. I did that throughout the United States. So that's what I was doing for the last 10 years. And then I started my own real estate development company, Badillo Development Group, and started working on my own properties, which were a little bit smaller. They weren't as large scale as some of the other ones I had worked on. But then I started working on those, and I started investing money also into other companies, a staging company, and now I'm in the process of investing into some other businesses now that are also all real estate related companies.
Amazing. So now, we were having a discussion a little bit before we got started filming, and in the conversation you mentioned that this is still a male-dominated industry, correct? In regards
absolutely.
To development?
Yes, and also in the office furniture space too, I feel, because it's very commercial, it's very corporate, and that typically has been a very male-dominated world. So in both real estate development and in the commercial corporate office furniture space, that it's been a very male-dominated industry for many, many years.
So in regards to that, like you said that you've been in the industry for 30 years. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That is, and you've done it all, basically. Yeah. You're a jill of all trades, which yeah. I have a lot of respect for people that have many hats and they are in different aspects of the business, because that makes you more of an expert and the go-to person.
Exactly.
And in the industry. With that being said, 30 years, how did you see things evolve as a woman in this industry? I know that there has been a little challenges, from
yes.
30 years ago as to opposed to now.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, as a woman, it's always been tough because there haven't been a lot of women role models for me to look up to coming up in the business, but then also being a Latina and of ethnic background, there wasn't a lot of that either. So I think I've had to overcome those challenges over the years, but I just push forward with with my talent and leading with my personality and my networking abilities and just my ability to get the job done. I think that's really, and maintaining my reputation and not burning any bridges, and just really making keeping myself in a position where I always did the best that I can do, and that everyone could speak highly of me and recommend me. And I think that is really how I overcame the early years. There were a lot of trials and tribulations, of course, because we went through, probably in the 30 years, I went through about 3 recessions here in New York City, particularly. And there were a lot of designers and people going out of business, architectural firms and design firms that were going out of the business just as I was entering into the business. So I'm a very optimistic person. So I just saw it as a challenge and an opportunity to break into the business. While others were leaving, I was entering. So just being creative and utilizing my marketing skills and abilities and things like that to really just try to create opportunities for myself, which I successfully, I hope, I did manage to do that.
Absolutely. And what people don't realize, and I said this in past on past shows, that real estate is a big industry, but however, it's a small circle of people in the group.
Absolutely.
So even though you do something good or bad, people are going to know. And especially since the circle of people that are there even though you think that you might not know them directly, but that person knows that person.
Right, exactly.
And that is a reflection. So if you do something good or bad, it'll go through the grapevine and people will know about you.
Yes.
So it's very crucial to always be, always show your best foot forward.
Yes, and integrity.
Integrity.
Maintaining your integrity is everything.
Exactly. And that's another thing. Real estate, you have to be very cautious because there's a lot of laws and regulations that are in standard, especially in New York.
Yeah.
So you cannot do things illegally.
Yes. No, New York is the toughest city to be in business.
Exactly.
No matter what business you're in.
Exactly. So you always have to be on the up and up.
They call it Sioux City for that reason.
Exactly.
That's the tagline.
Exactly. So you have to be very careful. So always have integrity when you're handling any transactions or deals in real estate, because if you do anything wrong, people will know about it. And you're likely to get sued. You don't want that.
But also, if you do something right, like about a week ago, one of my coworkers said, "Oh, I was at an event, and I had mentioned that I was working with you, and this and that, and she only had wonderful things to say about you, Stephanie. What a wonderful designer you were, and how you worked with her, and you were so patient on this project and everything." And I was just astounded. I said, "Oh my goodness, really? Like people are talking about me? I'm not even there,
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you, it works both ways. So
yes,
I was pleasantly surprised. That it was, I said, at least you had something good to say about me,
But absolutely, if you do something good, or if you show that you're the best in what you do, that also reflects out to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important. When you're doing something, it doesn't matter what you do, you always show the best of yourself so other people can see that.
That's right.
Stephanie, in regards to this particular business, because now you are also in business development, can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I just recently partnered about 3 months ago with BFI, and they are a corporate office furniture dealership. They actually just celebrated their 70th anniversary last week, so the company is very, very well established. They are primarily a Herman Miller dealer here in New York and New Jersey. They have offices in Paramus and Parsippany. I'm sorry, not Paramus, Elizabeth and Parsippany, New Jersey, which is the larger headquarters. And they hold the largest Herman Miller dealership in all of the New York City. So they have the contract with the city, and they do a lot of hospitality work, healthcare, that sort of thing. So I just joined with them about 3 months ago because they're primarily focused on most of the business development that they've done in the past was working with A&D firms, which is architects and designers. And since I'm a real estate developer, I'm coming from a different angle in that I have actually worked on ground up construction and having that experience and contacts also in the industry. I wanted to focus more on what I thought my strength in partnering with them was to be able to work with landlords and developers on projects, sort of like a WeWork concept where we provide the move-in ready solutions. I had previously owned and invested in a staging company, so when we did the luxury residential condominium apartments, we would not only design them and work with the developers and build the buildings, but then we would also go in and furnish them. So I wanted to bring that concept into the commercial world. I know I'm trying to take on a lot here.
Listen, I think that it's amazing that you're doing multiple things, but they're all within the same industry.
Correct.
So it becomes a full service type of business, yes. Which is, like I said, it's an amazing thing to be able to do that within an industry. Yes. And I think that you're not taking away, you're actually adding on and making it more for people to be able to have access to that. Yeah. Instead of
easier because and that goes back to what you were saying about how has the industry evolved, and that's how the industry evolved. I mean, back 30 years ago when I started, you worked with an interior designer, you worked with an architect, you worked with the contractor, everybody was individual and they were individually representing themselves. Nowadays, people are looking for more turnkey options, turnkey solutions where it's all inclusive, where it's all incorporated, and they only want to deal with one person. So then that's where I started coming up with the idea to, within my developments, to offer these turnkey solutions as well, because that's kind of where the trend was going. And now you have a lot of millennials and all of these companies, tech companies that have come out and things, and they really just want move-in ready solutions. They don't really want to sit there and wait 6 months to a year to work with, designers and architects. I mean, they're still very relevant to the business. But it's a lot easier if you could just present the image. It's kind of almost like spoon feeding, giving them what they want and what they want to see. I mean, we all know we work, and that's why that concept works. And Airbnb and companies like that who have made the whole experience part of both living and working successful. So that's kind of where I came in to this particular position, coming from that, like, let's take it to the next level.
No, I totally agree. I think that overall, from what I've seen from real estate, even into retail, everything is, the clients, the customers itself, they want things that are easy, accessible,
Exactly.
and they don't want to wait. They're very impatient individuals.
Exactly.
So they just want to be able to have it easy, have it taken care of, and that's it.
And it's actually an incentive too. It's almost like a concierge service that you would have in a high-end residential building. In a commercial situation where you're working with a landlord or a developer of a commercial space or building, where they can offer this to a tenant. It actually makes it easier for them to lease space, for them to close more deals. So I'm actually helping and facilitating in that way as well. So I'm all about creating relationships with people that I'm going to make your job easier. How can I make your life easier? And then it's a win-win for both of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And apart from this collaboration partnership that you have with them, are there like other projects that you have in the works?
I'm currently looking at some development projects. I'm always open. I'm always willing to lend my ear to new developers who are out there, or younger developers who are just starting out. I seem to be getting a lot of that, which I'm very happy to be part of, or they want, because I've handled and I've worked on such large projects that they would be coming to me for my experience, because I know how to handle budgets. I know how to, stretch dollars. It's not just, anybody can go in and just design the best furniture and the nicest, prettiest spaces, but, it really comes down to budget. And it really comes down to the bottom line, and it really comes down to profitability. And that's what your investors want to know at the end of the day. That's what the developers want to know, how much profit they're making off of it. And so the more that they can make, then the better off it's going to be.
Yes, absolutely.
And achieving all the goals that they want to achieve in terms of style and design and things like that. So
absolutely. New York being the mecca of real estate, I think that anybody around the globe wants to have some piece of property in New York. And unfortunately, because the fact that real estate is so expensive here,
yes.
Let's just be honest,
Yes.
It's really, really expensive. Here in the city, anything from Queens to Brooklyn.
Doesn't even matter anymore.
It's just so expensive, and if you do find something, it's like a diamond in the rough.
Yes.
So those deals, it's very hard to come by.
Yes.
And I agree. I think that more than anything, it has to do with the budget. You always have to be very budget conscious when you're doing anything. When you're doing a development, when you're doing construction, renovation, any of that. Yeah, you always have to have a budget, because the expenses, when you blink, it's beyond what
Yes.
you anticipated to spend.
It's always more.
And you also have to be conscious of what you're going to be receiving in return after the sales.
Mm-hmm.
And so definitely you have to be mindful with the budget. And sure. I've seen that. In fact, we were just talking about this. What is it? The show with Bethany and
Frederick.
and Frederick. They're partnering together
Yes.
and doing these renovations
Yes.
of all over New York City. And one of the things that they said in one of the segments, Bethany is very budget conscious. And Frederick is not.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's a good balance
Mm-hmm.
between the two. And I think that if you're one of those individuals that doesn't even think about a budget, you need to partner up with someone
Yes,
that does,
exactly.
because they'll
Rein
pull
you in.
they'll
Right.
rein you in, they'll pull you in, and they'll shock you back with the truth
Into
and the reality.
Exactly.
And you always need someone that
You
would
do.
give you that reality check.
Yeah. And I'm definitely that person. Okay, because I know it always costs more and takes longer than you ever can plan. There's just a lot of things that you can never plan for or anticipate. So those expenses alone can really cut other areas in a budget.
Absolutely.
And particularly furniture, when it comes down to the finishes and the furniture, then those always seem to get hit the hardest sometimes, because there are a lot of construction costs and materials, and there's always something that happens. And when you break ground, there's a lot of things that you don't really anticipate along the way throughout a project that can really set you back on your budget. So you have to be quick on your feet to be able to still try to get the job done and still have a good product at the end of the day. Within whatever the budget is, or if you need to go ask for more money, which is usually hard to go back to your investors and ask for more money later. But yes, it's always helpful if you're able to, if you have those resources at your fingertips, and adding that it's a value added service that you're really providing at the end of the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of the other things that I've seen trending, well, not trending, but that it's becoming the norm, is sustainable as well, like sustainable material, eco-friendly, and things of that nature. For the past years, let's go back like a century, the materials were hazardous, and because of that, now people are
asbestos, lead, poisoning,
exactly, and now people are more conscious. They're more conscious of the environment, and they want all of us to live a long period of time and also have the planet still survive. Now they're more conscious of having materials that are implemented in the architecture and the construction of the buildings, more eco-friendly and more sustainable. How do you, what is your take on that?
Oh, I love it. I've been part of that. I've been also part of the ADA compliance as well, the handicapped adaptability and all of that stuff, and as well as green, eco-friendly homes and offices and office space and materials. I've been part of that since the beginning because I've been doing it for 30 years. So I've seen that transition a lot. And I've actually worked on developments where, if they want to get certification, like LEED certification is a very big thing, where they get money from the government to reach certain levels of that LEED certification, then they have to show that you're using a certain percentage and a certain amount of materials that are eco-friendly and that are friendly to the environment. Or if there's a fire, for example, in a kitchen, if there's any formaldehyde content within a cabinet, which is like in the glues that they use to put things together, things like that, are really, they're becoming more conscious. And also the utilization of solar energy and solar power. I was part of that as well. I was working with Elon Musk's company, Solar City, he was part of that. Solar panels and things, but he was bringing it into offices and trying to get a lot of residential buildings to convert. It's hard in New York City because it's like where you put it on the roof, but you can change the meters. There's little things that you can do, like changing the meters, and if it's easier with the newer construction because it's ground up and it's brand new, so you can incorporate it easier. But they're still trying to tackle and go after all of the existing buildings and trying to get them to convert to some level of bringing that electric bill down, and just being a little bit more conscious of the energy that the city uses. Can you imagine a city like ours, like what it does to the environment and the impact that it has? So yes, and I've worked with a lot of architects that want to go way beyond outer space level that New York City building department and building codes haven't really accepted yet. So we're working on getting there with some of the building materials, but water filtration systems and trying to eradicate the lead and asbestos pipes and things like that. I mean, some of the older buildings, that it's so toxic.
Well, there is a great advancement in that. About a year or two ago, I went to a couple of meetings with the AEC, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And I met some of the organizers there. I think there's a Claudio Gonzalez, I think his name is, and he's one of the head organizers there, and phenomenal.
It's amazing what they're doing.
Phenomenal. And they had a couple of companies, and I'm really bad when it comes to names, so I do apologize, guys. But there were a couple of companies that had sustainable material, and they do some really amazing work. There was this one company that showcased how to basically set up your home in accordance where you don't see the wires, you don't see like the light installation is all, and it's
the smart homes. That's the big thing.
And they was just showing us some of the pieces of the things that they can create, and it was amazing. It's like, wow, you don't see anything. Everything is, the way that it's being designed is so elegant and so sexy. It's
one of my favorite parts is the plant walls. Have you seen the green walls? Where it's like living walls.
Yes.
Like incorporating that into spaces, offices and residential. Adding more green. We have no green, obviously.
Yes.
It's bricks everywhere, brick and concrete. But,
absolutely.
incorporating nature and creating that, and putting more oxygen back into the environment.
Yes, absolutely.
There's reports. I mean, psychologically, it affects us as human beings. There's just so much.
We definitely need that, especially since you live in New York. In New York City, because it's so fast paced, and the energy is high. It's unbelievable. For those of you who've never been to New York City, come out and definitely see what we're talking about, what the hype is all about. There's a lot of energy, a lot of things to do here. You meet a lot of interesting people, but one of the things that it's unfortunate is that we do have a lot of high rises and not enough greenery.
Yes,
we do have Central Park, but that's not enough.
In the center, it's a park.
And there's certain areas in Brooklyn, there's certain area right here in Manhattan that you have like these parks. There's on the west side, they have that train station. I think that they developed it into a park. So that's pretty cool. I mean, if they do more things like that definitely.
The High Line. You're thinking of the High Line.
Yes.
Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
If they have more things like that in the area, that would be amazing. I'm one for environment. I think that we should not keep constructing. I mean, construct to a certain extent, but also have the balance part of also having the greenery.
You don't realize, like, you're always wondering why you're walking around getting a headache or why you're so low on your energy. It's because we don't have enough of nature. And we have a lot of toxic materials. There's things that you can't see. I mean, you can't see pollution, but it's there. But then there's also electromagnetic fields, for example, that you can't see that, and that's going in your body. That's from coming off all of the TVs and all of the stereo equipment, everything that we have. That's all the technology. So that also has an incredible impact on your psyche, on your being.
Absolutely. I think that there should be a happy medium between the two.
Right.
Have a happy balance. And one of the things that I saw that you did recently was you were out in the gym. Fitness with Judy.
Yes.
Hey, Judy.
Hey, Judy.
If you see this, Judy. And you have to have a balance between work and also health. Health is very important. Without it, you're not going to last long,
exactly.
And you won't have the right mindset when you're going out and doing the daily.
And it's a high stress level occupation, because you're trying to meet deadlines and you're working with budgets, and it's very, very stressful. So you need to make time. You need to carve that time out for that balance, because there's no way that you can operate like that 24/7 without having some me time and swimming and yoga and all the great things that I try to do. Not as much as I'd like to do it, but I try to do it at least 3 times a week, but that's being
listen, it's good to have a couple of moments of me time. Listen, it's good to be selfish every once in a while. You need to have a couple of hours to yourself a day to really charge your batteries and find your happy place, because especially here in New York, like I said, the energy is amazing here. you're always going to have something to do. There's always events that you can network at. All of that is absolutely great, but you also have to have your downtime and have your me time to also have that balance between the
and
two.
And usually that's at home too, and that's why you want to create an environment that's going to be your sanctuary, and have those elements incorporated into that environment, so that when you're outside, especially if you live in the city like me, that's the only way that you can separate yourself from the noise that's going on outside and all the activity that we're so much a part of, and we love it. But you do have to recharge your batteries for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Stephanie, in regards to, because you talked about your collaboration, your partnership with BFI, you have the other development projects and things in place. Is there anything else that you're doing in regards to event wise? Are you partaking in anything?
Yeah, well, I attend a lot of events. I'm part of many events that I attend, not just in my industry, but all industries, because I find that people cross over all the time, and I believe that you need to go out and you need to network. It's kind of important to get in front of people. I mean, a lot of people sit behind the computer. They try to make introductions on emails and texting, and while that works to some degree, I'm still a very big believer of the old school way. Go out and meet people and, show up. It's a social thing. It's a great place to meet and make contacts. So I'm part of many different groups and organizations. I started my own inner circle, which is just basically all commercial related, contract related people. And so that's going very well. We started that about 4 months ago. And, hopefully I'll be able to join you on your panel.
Yes, absolutely. The invitation is open. Guys, we were talking about this before, of having Stephanie on the We Rise to Inspire event that I'm organizing and hosting, and she's going to be on the panel. You're going to be representing real estate alongside Judy as well. So I'm super excited.
Very
for that.
Exciting, yeah.
Very excited. I think that I don't want to get off topic on this, but I think that overall it's an area where we can advocate more women that are influential, successful, and they are role models there, and they're basically inspiring other women to also go out, pursue their dreams, either in a career or being an entrepreneur or business owner, but basically influence them, because we have a lot of opportunities right now. There's so much funding out for women in business, and I don't want that to go to waste, because you never know when that opportunity is going to come again. Yeah. And right now there is opportunity for women and minorities. I say go out and take that advantage to do so, and by also having,
I think mentorship too.
Mentorship
as we were discussing earlier.
Mentoring
is really a big part of that too. Taking some of these younger generation women and minority women especially.
Yes.
Under our wings and telling them, you can do it. We're here. We're living examples that you can do it. We're still doing it. Hopefully we'll still be doing it for the next 20 years.
Yes,
or 30 years.
We'll definitely. We'll leave a legacy behind for the next generation to come in, and we're opening the doors for them. I think that there's always going to be a generation before and after that gives opportunities for other people. There were other people before us that gave us that opening, and now we have to also do the same to someone else and just keep it going. But I think more than the other thing too is women need to also bond and have that sisterhood, because we are in various industries and we're finally being able to have our voice heard and finally making an impact and
the whole
being
Time's Up thing.
Exactly.
That was Hollywood, but it's impacted all the industries.
Yes, definitely. There is that mark that we're leaving, and I think that also it's a good thing and a bad thing, because there's still some women that become very competitive, or they don't want to have that alliance, and I don't find it necessary. I think that we all have a place a place to shine, a place to be able to continue being successful in our own right, still collaborate, still partner with other people.
And I think we're better together than we are
Yes.
individually. It's wonderful that we've all accomplished all of these wonderful things. But at the end of the day, do you really want to sit at the top of the tower all alone? Or would you rather be surrounded by people that you know, that you love, that you admire, and that inspire you as well?
Exactly. And you know, to me, this whole dynamics of being able to have the ability to leverage out and be able to have a large group to amplify what we're trying to accomplish. I think that's the overall big picture, because we're trying to leave this for the next generation and the generation after that. We don't want to be stagnant and say, okay, we worked our butts off to get to this point, and then now we're not progressing. We need to keep progressing.
And there's no one else following behind us to pass the torch, so to speak.
And I hopefully in 100 years from now, we don't have this issue. We don't have to discuss that, you know, the whole gender equality and cultural equality or anything like that. I think that we just can identify as a human race. Doesn't matter what culture or, you know, or what gender or anything. It's just that we're coexisting, and we can celebrate that.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So
that would be a nice legacy to leave, wouldn't it?
Yes, definitely.
That's it. My life was worth it.
No, but you're definitely an inspiration. You're a great role model. I mean, my God, you have so many hats you're changing. A lot of hats.
A lot of different shoes too.
A lot of different shoes. Yes. And also being a Latina in this industry, that's a big mark. And
thank you.
I definitely have a lot of admiration for that.
Thank you.
I'm in awe. I'm just, wow.
Well, I'd like to continue my family's legacy because I'm related to Herman Badillo, who was a United States congressman in the 70s. I don't know if you guys know. You might be a little bit too young to remember who he was, but
he sounds familiar. Yes, he
was the Bronx Borough president, and then he was also a United States congressman. So he did a lot for Hispanics and Puerto Ricans in particular. And so I'd like to think that I'm, you know, still passing that torch on from you know, what he did here in New York City and in the Bronx, and the impact that he made for Latinos, and being a Latina myself, you know, to be able to continue that in some way.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. It's a family tradition.
Yes, exactly.
It's a very proud family tradition, and definitely that's very impactful.
Yes. And Hispanics were very proud, you know, people, and family-oriented, and very strong roots, you know, where absolutely. And very hardworking.
Yes, absolutely. And that's another thing that I definitely want to always praise, is that we are very hardworking individuals. And I think that we need to showcase it more, because there's still a little bit of a stigma and prejudice out there to this day. And we just need to show everyone that we're not
all the same. We're not all in the same boat. Yeah.
Yeah. So Stephanie, we're getting close to the end of our show. I'm like still in awe. I still want to continue.
Yeah, this is fun. We can just hang out here all day.
Listen, we can do a round two. We can definitely have you back and do a round two and talk a little bit more in depth of anything. We can even follow you around, because that's another thing that we do as well. Stephanie, for our viewers out there, where can they find you?
Oh, well, you can find me pretty much everywhere. But if you're talking about the website, you can follow me at my development website, which is badillodevelopmentgroup.com. or at the BFI website, which is bfinewyork.com.
Amazing. So, guys, we had Stephanie Badillo here. I'm super excited to have this conversation with her. Check her out. Follow her as well. I know that you have a couple of social media outlets as well.
Yes, I do, but they're under construction right now. So let's just keep, you know, I'll keep you posted on those as we grow, because we're in a transitional period now. Judy and I are partnering on some things. So I think we're going to be modifying our social media there.
So check that out. The next time that we have her on, she might be giving a couple of announcements. So stay tuned to that. Guys, this is the Work Your Money podcast. Until the next time, bye guys.
Bye-bye.